Hey everybody, welcome to Smoking with Bush. Today we are talking pork ribs. And earlier in the week I was thinking to myself, I'd like to get some pork ribs out on the smoker. Today we're cooking on the WSM 14.5. So normally when I think pork ribs, I prefer the St. Louis cut ribs, just personal opinion. But we had a vote in the house, and needless to say, as you can tell, the baby back ribs won. So that's what we're cooking today. No biggie, they'll come out just as good. And with these particular ribs on my 14.5 smoker, I can never do a full slab of ribs. So as you can see, I already have them cut in half. I rinsed them off. I had it patted dry already. And I wanted to settle a little debate that I've had amongst other barbecuers about membrane on versus membrane off when it comes to ribs. I've heard that if you keep the membrane on, it helps retain moisture. I've also heard if you keep it on, sometimes it's not chewable once it's finished. So that's something I want to dig into. And right now, I'm going to take the membrane off of this rib on the left here. So when they go on the smoker, I'm going to have them on there this way. And this will be the one with the membrane off. And I'll keep the membrane on this one. So just to get this off real quick here. Actually, I don't know how quick this is going to be, but normally take me a little butter knife and I go just a little under the membrane here. I mean, this stuff is pretty tough, but once you get it going, it usually comes off in one piece. So go ahead and get under there. That does not sound good, but get under there. And I like to take a nice little paper towel, just peel it off. And we might actually get lucky today. Yeah, we did. Whole piece came off there. And another thing, when I went and got these ribs, I got them at one of my local grocers here, and they actually were nice enough to give me the little brown bag to put over it. So I'm going to be doing all my prep and everything over this just to make it a little easier. So as I mentioned, it, get mine started. What I go with is a little bit of oil just to help the seasoning kind of set into the ribs here. So we'll get just a light coating of oil on there. But yeah, we're not doing too much. We're not trying to season with the oil. Just a light coating on there. A little bit on the back. Yeah, we'll get the other one started as well. I know there's, a lot of different ways to set up your ribs. You see oil, you see mustard, you see nothing. I mean, it's all personal preference. I mean, that's what barbecuing is all about. Just doing whatever whatever you prefer. And today, something we're trying out, I'm going to try out this Dominator sweet rub from Oakridge barbecue. I'm going to throw that on here, and then on half the ribs, I'm also going to throw on some of this Habanero death dust for a little heat. I don't eat too much things with too much spice on there, but forgot, try it out, mix a couple of them together. And all we're doing with the rub here, just getting a nice even coating over the ribs. And I'll tell you one thing, this rub already smells amazing. And just trying to get that over there. I mean, I don't go too heavy on the bone side, but I mean, some people like to, really get after it when they're eating their ribs, and we want to appease them as well. So as I mentioned, going to be cooking out on the Weber Smoky Mountain. It's the smallest one well, not the smallest one, they have a mini, but of the non-portable sizes, it's 14.5. So again, with the cooking grate, that's only 14.5 inches across. And as you know, for most slabs of ribs, they're a lot longer than that. Some may see that as a disadvantage of the smaller smoker, but I see it as an advantage because a lot of times, as I mentioned, I do gotta cut certain things in half, and then I can do, 2 different flavor profiles, or I can try just a myriad of things to tell the truth. Oh, there we go. See, that's what I wasn't doing. I wasn't getting that side action in there. I mean, this shake is good, but it wasn't coming out how I wanted it to. Like I said, I'm just pressing in. And as you can tell by this first one here, we're already getting some of that moisture to come to the top, and you're getting that really, really nice color there. So you put them on the smoker looking like this, I'm telling you, they're already gonna be good. Or as we like to say in my family, they're gonna be banging. Get that on there. So with this one, I'm going a little lighter, because as I mentioned, I'm gonna put some of this Habanero death dust on here. Okay. All right, so as you see, we already got the rub on these ribs, and the moisture that's pulling from these ribs and the smell permeating in this kitchen right now. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to get these out on the smoker, get them going. So as I mentioned, one we got here on the left of the screen, this is the one without the membrane. The one on the right has the membrane still attached. So I'm gonna go out here, get my coals started up. I'll come back to you once we get the smoker up to temp. We're trying to stay around 225, 235 today. A little bit on the lower side. It's just one of those things. I like my barbecue just to relax on the smoker for a while. So we'll get back with you once we're putting the meat on the smoker. Got the smoker stabilized right around 250. I know when the meat goes on it's going to drop a little bit, but right now I started with about 3/4 full of hot charcoal in there, and I had to close 2 of the bottom vents and the back vent about the size of a number 2 pencil just to get my temp to come down. And that's the thing with these smaller smokers, a lot of times you will get a higher temp depending on how many hot coals you start with. But we'll go ahead, get these ribs put on here. As I mentioned, this is the one right here without the membrane on. And this one, we kept the membrane on. And that's it. We'll see if there's a difference at the end. We'll check back in every hour on the hour just to see how we're cooking, make sure everything's going well. Get that closed and get this going. As soon as I put the pork ribs on, my temp immediately dropped by 50 degrees. So what I ended up doing, opened up the back vent all the way, and I've let that kind of stabilize for about 10 to 15 minutes. So I did get it back up to around, we're sitting at around, 210, 215. I want to get it closer to 225, 230, because I just don't want to cook ribs for 6-7 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up a little bit of this one. Remember, minor adjustments are key here. But this one's closed right now, so touch a little bit. We'll crack that about halfway. And a lot of times with these adjustments, you'll notice it can take anywhere 10 to 15 minutes to notice any change in the temp. So just be patient. As you know, barbecuing is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So I'm gonna sit, wait it out, see if I can get my temp that I want, like I said, 225, 235, and we'll keep it going from there. Still within the first hour of the cook, and I'll show you what the ribs are looking like right at about an hour, hour and a half. All I'm gonna say is, this last hour, it's been pretty rough. As soon as we put the meat on, we dropped down to 200 degrees. So from there, like I mentioned, I already had the bottom vent completely open. And I went ahead, opened this front one to halfway, and that got our temp back up. So we've been holding steady between 230, 240, and we are right at an hour into the cook. Let me show you what these ribs look like. I know we're losing a little bit of daylight out here, but no biggie. And as you can see, plenty of moisture still in these ribs. So this will be a no wrap, no spritz rib. We're just gonna let them go, and when they finish, they finish.